In the cold waters along the Pacific Northwest, Dungeness crab fishing with modern boat nets has become an important and profitable activity for fishermen. Large steel ships equipped with GPS, radar and modern communication equipment plow the waves out to sea, carrying hundreds of round or square steel traps with scented bait to attract crabs. When the ship reaches deep water with suitable seabed terrain, the sailors will use hydraulic cranes to lower each heavy cage to the bottom. Each cage is connected to a long rope ending in a buoy floating on the water surface to mark the location. The cage dropping process is continuous. The workers on the deck work rhythmically with the roar of the engine and the sound of the waves, both quickly and accurately so as not to waste precious time at sea. After the cages are left on the seabed for several hours to a day, the Dungeness crabs, attracted by the smell of the bait, will enter the cages through small gaps and be trapped. When it was time to harvest, the captain returned the ship to the marked coordinates. The sailors hooked the cable to the buoy and used a winch to pull the cages weighing tens of kilograms onto the deck. The cages soaked with seawater were pulled up one after another. Inside the cages were full of struggling live crabs with shiny purple-brown shells. Workers wearing rubber raincoats and thick gloves quickly opened the cages, sorted the crabs by size and gender, only keeping those that met the required size standards, while the small ones or female crabs carrying eggs would be released back into the sea to ensure long-term profits. Each crate of qualified crabs was loaded onto the deck, covered with ice to keep the crabs alive and fresh until the ship returned to shore. Throughout the process, the ship's air conditioning system, cranes and conveyor belts provided maximum support. Making the already arduous work more efficient and safer. After a few days at sea, the boat loaded with crabs returns to port, where refrigerated trucks are waiting to take the cargo to processing plants or directly to seafood markets. The modern cage fishing journey not only brings high yields but also contributes to the conservation of Dungeness crab resources thanks to reasonable selection methods, demonstrating the combination of fishermen's experience and modern technology in today's seafood industry. Veteran fishermen say that catching Dungeness crabs with nets is not only a livelihood but also an art that requires a thorough understanding of the season, the crab's habits and sea conditions. The fishing season usually begins in late autumn and lasts through winter, when the crabs reach commercial weight, with the firmest and sweetest meat. Before each trip, the crew must carefully prepare everything from bait, traps, safety equipment to necessities for the long journey. At sea, the harsh weather with cold winds, high waves and prolonged rain makes the work even harder, but everyone is used to this pace of life. They work continuously almost without rest to collect the cages and process the crabs in time. On deck, the atmosphere is bustling with cages being lifted one by one, workers using metal bars to push the crabs out, then carefully measuring the size with specialized rulers, ensuring that conservation laws are not violated. The selected crabs are then immediately released into large tanks with aeration and ice to keep them alive and healthy. As the commercial value of Dungeness crab depends heavily on freshness in the hold, refrigeration systems and giant tanks help preserve tons of crabs for many days while maintaining good quality. Fishermen are always aware that a batch of crab cages can bring in a large income. But if the catch is exhausted or violated, the future of the fishing industry will no longer be sustainable. Therefore, experience combined with modern technology and conservation awareness has created a fishing method that is more efficient, safe and friendly to the marine environment. When the ship arrives at port, each crate of fresh Dungeness crab is unloaded onto a refrigerated truck, transported to restaurants, supermarkets or exported around the world, becoming a premium dish at seafood parties. Behind each delicious crab is the sweat, perseverance and courage of fishermen who struggle day and night with the ocean. A testament to the traditional fishing profession that has entered the modern era but still retains its spirit of attachment to the ocean. Each Dungeness crab fishing trip usually lasts from a few days to a few weeks depending on the yield and the weather. So there is always a clear division of labor on board. Someone operating the hydraulic crane, someone in charge of sorting the crabs, someone recording the data, and even a chef who prepares meals for the crew during the rare breaks. The work of collecting the cages is repeated hundreds of times, requiring endurance and high concentration, because just a small mistake can cause the cable to tangle around the person or a big wave can knock anyone down. The sailors all wear life jackets, anti-slip shoes and hard hats. But in reality, it is experience and quick reflexes that are the decisive factors that help them stay safe in the harsh environment. At night, when the whole sea is immersed in cold darkness, the ship is still brightly lit with high-power lights. The sailors continue to work tirelessly. The sound of the winch, the sound of heavy cages falling on the deck, the sound of crabs hitting each other create familiar sounds like the rhythm of their daily life. The mature Dungeness crabs weighing nearly 2 kilos, with large and strong claws, when brought onto the deck, make the fishermen excited, because they are the most valuable source of income. Each batch of crabs, after being classified and counted, is recorded in the ship's logbook, both to manage output and to meet the monitoring requirements of the fisheries agency. On more modern ships, the camera and sensor systems also directly monitor the cage release process, helping the captain optimize the cage placement to increase fishing efficiency. It is thanks to this technological advancement that the Dungeness crab industry today can both maintain a stable output and contribute to limiting negative impacts on the marine environment. After a long voyage, when the ship approaches the port, everyone is filled with joy and fatigue. The holds filled with fresh crabs are proof of the tireless work at sea. And when the last batch of crabs is unloaded at the dock, everyone can finally breathe a sigh of relief, preparing for a short break before continuing on their journey for the new fishing season. The endless cycle of fishermen in the ocean. After arriving at the port, the journey of Dungeness crabs has not stopped, but continues to go through many other stages to reach consumers. The fresh crab crates are taken straight to the weighing area, where staff check the quality again, classify by weight and size again. The healthy crabs, still alive and strong in the ice environment, will be kept for export or sold directly to high-end restaurants, while some will be transferred to the frozen processing plant to make value-added products such as canned crab meat, steamed crab or vacuum-packed fresh crab meat. During transportation, refrigerated trucks with strict temperature control systems always maintain the best conditions to prevent the crabs from dying en masse. Ensuring that their flavor and freshness are preserved. For fishermen, seeing their achievements integrated into the modern supply chain, serving diners everywhere is a source of great pride, as it is a testament to the perfect combination of arduous manual labor and modern industrial processes. On the other hand, local authorities and fishing organizations always closely monitor the output, seasonality and size of crabs to ensure the sustainability of this profession. Because Dungeness crabs not only bring economic benefits but also play an important role in the coastal marine ecosystem. Therefore, every fisherman is aware that only by strictly following conservation regulations can crab fishing be maintained for many generations. At the end of a season, the boats will be brought back to the port for maintenance and repair of cranes, winches, refrigeration systems and even rusted steel cages after hundreds of times being released into the sea. It is a rare rest time for fishermen, but also the time when they prepare for the next fishing season. That cycle of making a living continues, so that every year, thousands of tons of Dungeness crab are brought from the cold seabed to luxurious banquet tables, associated with the sweat, effort and resilience of people who face the sea day and night. Stories from Dungeness crab fishing boats are often passed on by word of mouth by fishermen during short breaks. From their experiences finding crab-rich waters to their near misses in big storms, many have been involved in the profession since childhood, following their fathers out to sea, growing up with the smell of the sea and the successive harvests. They understand that this profession brings high income but also contains countless dangers, because just a sudden storm or a crane problem can cause a serious accident. Therefore, on modern ships today, there are always life-saving equipment, small boats, life jackets, emergency positioning systems and satellite communications to prevent risks. However, the brave spirit of the fisherman is still the most important factor in overcoming all challenges. During long days at sea, the crew lives like a small family, eating, chatting and supporting each other in their work. Each full batch of crabs pulled up is always a great encouragement, giving them more motivation to fight the cold and fatigue, especially on lucky occasions, when they catch many big crabs. The whole crew can cook a pot of fresh crab right on the boat to enjoy. As a reward for hard-working days, the image of ships loaded with Dungeness crabs quietly returning in the early morning, lights still shining on the deck. Has become a familiar scene in the seaports of the Pacific Northwest. Each time they dock, it is not only a time to deliver goods but also an opportunity for fishermen's families to reunite, for fathers and husbands to return to their loving arms, bringing with them stories of stormy days and nights at sea. It is this continuity that has created the enduring vitality of Dungeness crab fishing. A profession not only associated with the economy but also with the culture and resilient spirit of people facing the vast ocean. Dungeness crab fishing with cage nets on modern ships is not only a series of hard labor, but also a testament to the attachment between people and the ocean. Ships equipped with advanced technology can go further, stay at sea longer and process tons of crabs more effectively. But behind that are still the hands, strength and hearts of fishermen. Each season, thousands of cages are dropped to the seabed. Millions of crabs are harvested, but the life cycle of crabs is still maintained thanks to the strict rules that fishermen are forced to follow. It is the balance between exploitation and conservation that has helped this profession not to be lost, but on the contrary, to develop on a large scale, serving domestic and export needs. In port cities, Dungeness crab festivals are held bustlingly, attracting thousands of tourists to enjoy. And in each delicious dish is the mark of a long journey from the sea to the table. For fishermen, the greatest pride lies not only in the money earned from their sea trips, but also in the fact that they have contributed to preserving traditions, bringing the specialties of their homeland to the world. Each ship leaving port carries with it the hope of a bountiful harvest, and when returning with a hold full of crabs, it is also the time when they affirm their perseverance in the face of harsh nature. Thus, year after year, Dungeness crab fishing continues to be deeply ingrained in coastal cultural and economic life, creating a symbol of the harmony between modern technology and the resilient working spirit of people in front of the vast ocean. Each generation of fishermen is attached to the profession of Dungeness, leaving their own mark. From choosing the sea, how to handle bait to improving trap cage so that it is more effective and friendly to the environment. Modern cages are designed with a small outlet to make small or female crabs that can come out by themselves, minimizing the deterrent fishing situation. This is a clear evidence for human progress in exploiting resources while maintaining ecological balance. In addition, the seafood industry also focuses on the training of fishermen using high-tech equipment, from GPS positioning, bottom detection radar to output management software. Helping them work more effectively without completely dependent on traditional experience. However, the human element is always the center, patience to wait, the carefulness when pulling the cage heavy, The ingenuity of sorting each crab cannot be replaced by machines. The beach trips often leave in the memory of the fishermen countless unforgettable moments, the brilliant sunrise blushes when they are dragging the first batches of cages, or the dark nights only have the lights on the cold waves. All create a vivid picture, both harsh and romantic, of life in the middle of the ocean. For consumers, the sweet aromatic crab on the dining table is a valuable seafood, but for fishermen, it is the crystallization of sweat, effort, courage and love of the sea. It was this intersection that made Dungeness fishing become a symbol of the Northwestern Pacific Ward, not only an economic sector. But also the pride and identity of the coastal community. Looking deeper, the crab industry also reflects the special relationship between humans and the sea, which is both a harsh challenge and abundant source of life. Each trip to the beach is a gamble with nature. Fishermen face strong winds, large waves, bone cold and sometimes the loneliness between the coincidence. But the rewards are fresh crab compartments, ensuring life for the family and the community. On the harbors, when the ship arrives, it is not only the loading and unloading scenes but also the joy of reunion, the choking hugs of their wives and children after many days of separation. Local people see crab season as a lively festival, where the fishing port is bustling with buyers and sellers. The frozen cars are connected to the crabs everywhere. The fatty, shiny Dungeness crabs are taken into the restaurant, processed into a delicate dish, becoming a bridge to bring the flavor of sea to global diners. But besides that prosperity, there are still strict rules that fishermen have to comply with: only catching in the licensed season, only keeping crabs reach standard size, absolutely dropping crabs to bring eggs to the sea. It was that seriousness that kept a sustainable job for decades, ensuring that the next generation still had the opportunity to rise. Therefore, when looking at a Dungeness crab on the banquet table, few people imagine the journey from the sea floor to the dining table. Through many stages, sweat and courage, it is not only a premium dish but also a story about labor, tradition and consistency of people who attach their lives to the sea. For veteran fishermen, catching Dungeness crab with cage nets on modern boats is also an opportunity for them to pass on their experience and life skills to the younger generation. Ensuring that this traditional craft is not lost, they teach how to choose the location of the cage based on the seabed terrain, ocean currents, and the crab's living habits, how to make and maintain traps to increase efficiency, how to read nautical charts, use radar and GPS to determine precise coordinates, and even how to respond to storms or emergency situations in the middle of the ocean. Children of fishing families grow up with the sound of waves lapping against the hull, the smell of sea salt and the salty taste of the wind, and soon understand that each crab carries with it both their survival and their responsibility to the sea. While technology is increasingly modern, traditional values such as solidarity, discipline, patience and endurance remain irreplaceable. Every sea voyage, whether stormy or calm, is a valuable lesson in harmony with nature, respect for marine life and long-term resource protection. When the season ends, boats are repaired, maintained, traps are inspected and prepared for the next season, and fishermen return home with pride in their bumper catches and the skills they have honed throughout the season. The journey is repeated year after year, generation after generation, deeply embedded in the culture and life of coastal communities, turning Dungeness crab fishing into a symbol of resilience, love of the sea and a spirit of connection with nature. Seen from afar, modern Dungeness crab boats cut through the waves like steel arrows gliding across the deep blue sea, creating a vivid picture of the coastal fisheries industry. On deck, the sailors still rhythmically perform their work, from pulling up cages, checking bait, classifying crabs to recording production data. Every operation is standardized, but still requires skill and long-term experience to ensure safety and efficiency. Inside the ship's hold, the refrigeration system maintains the ideal temperature, keeping the crabs healthy, while winches, cranes and conveyor belts help reduce the heavy labor. The weather at sea is always changing. There are days of strong winds, high waves, and heavy rain. But the sailors still coordinate smoothly, because they understand that every minute of delay can affect the productivity and quality of the crabs. When the season ends, the crates of fresh crabs are brought to the port, transferred to processing plants or directly to seafood markets, serving domestic demand and export. Fishermen return to their families, bringing with them joy and pride in the standard crabs they have worked so hard to catch. Over the years, Dungeness crab fishing using modern nets on boats has not only been an important economic sector but also a symbol of maritime culture. Resilient working spirit and a harmonious combination of tradition and advanced technology, so that each crab on the table still retains the fresh taste of the ocean in addition to providing a steady source of income. Dungeness crab fishing with nets also plays an important role in maintaining coastal communities. Fishing ports become bustling every time the fishing season begins, creating jobs not only for fishermen but also for those who transport, process, distribute and trade seafood. The atmosphere at the port in the early morning is always bustling, with the sound of engines, the calls of unloading workers, and the smell of sea salt mixed with the smell of fresh crab. Fishermen often share experiences with each other, from how to choose the location of cages, manage the amount of bait, to how to preserve crabs on board to ensure the best quality. Every sea trip, whether long or short, is a journey of learning and practicing skills, from getting used to the sea, harsh weather, to how to coordinate smoothly between members on board. On nights at sea, when the light from the boat reflects on the waves, the sailors often tell each other stories of storms, big crabs, or successful traps, creating a strong bond and team spirit. When the season ends, it is not only a time to evaluate the yield but also an opportunity to maintain the boat, check the traps, prepare for the next season and rest with family. Through many generations, Dungeness crab fishing has maintained a balance between exploitation and conservation, between hard work and pride in the results, becoming an indispensable part of coastal culture and economic life, where each Dungeness crab is the crystallization of sweat, effort and love of the sea.